Good evening. Welcome to Community and Technology, where we connect the global community with news, information, and resources to hopefully help improve your life. I'm Stu Reid. I'm here with my co-host Dave Burstein. Hey, Dave. And we have a very special guest today, Ms. Lorene Cowan, who is the founder of the Business Arsenal University, a resource platform designed to give student entrepreneurs resources to help them start business. Lorene is also the founder of the National Student Entrepreneur Summit. She has received countless awards for her role as an entrepreneur and is a member of the Harvard Alumni Entrepreneurs. Welcome to Community and Technology, Lorene.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, well, I was reading about your some of your projects and just sounded so exciting. You know, uh, Coming up, I'm a little bit of an older guy. Coming up, my family didn't know anything about business, and we were always of the mindset, oh, you got to be trained for a job, for a career. And it wasn't until
Absolutely.
I got much older that I said, hey, that's crap. You're working to make somebody else rich. It's all about creating your own thing. So I was so excited to see that you are encouraging young people in college to start their own business. So tell us about how you came to that and what you're doing.
Okay, so I had pretty much the same start as you. I had a family that believed in hard work, but they also wanted me to be safe and secure, all of us, all my cousins and my siblings. And so it's like, get your education or get a city job and just stick with it, get your pension and, call it a day.
Mm,
For me, I don't know, the entrepreneurial bug, I think it bit me very early. I would say around elementary school.
mm.
In elementary school, I literally cut up all my family's, holiday cards. I went to my family member's house. Can I please have some holiday cards? And literally created a business of selling bookmarks for different holidays through
Mm.
the year. So I got through about a year and a half, and my principal found out. And she called me to the office, and then she called my parents and
Uh-huh.
down and said, what's going on here? She's like, she's trying to run an enterprise here. And this is a school. I love her, but she just can't do this. So, my parents sat there and they said, you're right. Lorene, don't do that anymore. But when I got into that car, my parents were giving me high fives. They hugged me.
Okay.
I'm so proud of you. And
Uh-huh.
so they were the beginning of my tribe, right, of support. So even though they wanted me to get somewhat of a traditional job, they told me, you know what, at the end of the day, whatever's going to make you happy, make an impact on this world in any shape or form. And that's what I decided, to set out and do. So that's my start. And
Mm-hmm.
I got here, throughout my collegiate career, I should say, I started different projects, different businesses. Some took off, some didn't. But that foundation I had from my parents who believed in my entrepreneurial dreams as well as my education kind of brought me to this place where I wanted to support student entrepreneurs. So while I was at Harvard, I started this resource guide to help student entrepreneurs kind of get the baseline foundation of what they would need to start a business. But then I started to get questions, and from questions, things start to evolve and grow. And I decided about maybe 2 years ago to start the summit in honor of my parents.
Mm.
So I wanted to raise money, a grant program that I don't want it just for this year. I want this to be my legacy project. So this is something that's just not for this moment. If I can impact a few children a year, I mean, my living wasn't in vain, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
I can find some sort of joy and some sort of happiness within that, within knowing that I'm doing my part to make a difference. So that's sort of how I got to this space. It started in school. It started with questions and answers from my peers who were trying out different programs online, and we're just like, man, I feel like I'm getting ripped off from these different things. And even though we were in school, and even though we were learning so many different things, it's a little different when you're trying to go that entrepreneurial track, right? And so you want that sort of support. And so I was like, man, I started looking online, and this is not yesterday, so this is a couple of years ago. I was looking online to find sort of my tribe of people like me who are in school trying to create a balancing act and probably working and trying to start a business. And so, with that being said, I started this project.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's fascinating. That you grabbed onto that whole concept of entrepreneurship at such a young age, and that your parents supported you. That I'm sure was had to be a big influence to help just kind of push you along and kind of make you feel confident and secure on your path?
I'm sure my dad still wants me to be a lawyer, though.
Okay. What did you study at Harvard?
Business management.
Okay. Okay. So
My
tell us.
brother, my younger brother, he's at Morehouse and he plans on going to law school. So my dad will get his wish eventually.
Okay. Okay. There you go. There you go. So tell us about the Business Arsenal University. What is that?
So that encompasses the resource platform. So
Mm-hmm.
essentially what we do at this point, at first it started off as just being resource guide. We would do beta tests on different programs. We would do some market analysis to see what would make sense for students to go after as it pertains to whether it be an attorney, whether it be websites, whatever it may be. We did the research to make sure that the sites that said they were legitimate, the sites that said that they would function properly, would give these students an opportunity to launch their business at an affordable price. So a lot of the programs that we found that we worked through, that we actually tested it ourselves, they allowed it maybe a few months free, giving the students an opportunity to start off, at a very low cost. So that was the beginning stage. Now we reach the phase where people are calling in for questions and answers, right? And so that's what we've been doing. We've been we've been creating a platform that allows students to call in, email us and answer different questions for them pertaining to their business goals and aspirations. But it's not just me alone. I'm actually working with other entrepreneurs in different facets. I may be good at one thing, and hence the tribe portion, right? I may be good at one aspect of business. Someone else is good at another aspect. And so I've had all this volunteer sort of troops, I should say, that's been helping with this call to action of helping these kids. So we have kids that are in high school age and, junior high school age, college, grad school, from junior college all the way up to the Ivy League. So it's been a fun ride. And now it's evolving into this program that's leading into other things moving down the pipeline.
Mm-hmm. That's fascinating. I mean, it's so encouraging to hear that young people are starting to think about entrepreneurship and having their own thing versus the traditional career path. Have you seen that grow, that kind of impetus grow since you've been doing this? So tell us about. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I can tell you something, there has been a surge since COVID. Definite surge since COVID. So many kids are afraid of losing, of not being able to find a job. Some just started off first year, they're starting their new positions, they're getting laid off. So we have all these kids that are creative, that are open, that are into technology, that are into different facets of business, that are working from home, are creating things from scratch, right? From the palm of their hands. And they're being innovative in the way they do it because they have to be, they have to work on a bootstrap budget, right? A definite shift in the last few months, an increase in the last few months as it pertains to level of inquiry, level of questions, and participation, if that makes sense.
Sure. So now the tribe, you mentioned the tribe, is that your resource network? What is that?
Yes, it consists of entrepreneurs in tech. It consists of entrepreneurs in brick and mortar businesses. I mean, name it, in beauty, in fashion, that are, if I have a call, I'm like, hey, I can't answer this particular question. It's not in my wheelhouse. Hey, shoot it over to me. And I'm there to jump in for the call of duty. So it's been awesome.
Wow. So now what is the National Student Entrepreneurs Summit, a big event that you guys have planned for next month?
Okay, I'm smiling as you're saying, as you're talking to me, I'm smiling. It's one of my, I want to say this is going to be one of my greatest accomplishments. And I say that because I am literally putting blood, sweat, and tears into this project. Essentially what's happening is I'm creating a grant program in my parents' name. And so for this year, we're starting off with one grant. I raised the money with my tribe grassroots, but we plan on getting corporate sponsorships later on. And pretty much every dime that we collected went into this. If it's not for legal stuff or other things, it all went into this program and into actually planting a seed into these children. So not only are we giving the grant, but I'm working with, I don't know if you know Monique Jackson. She has created an awesome platform where she helps people brand. She helps them market. She actually helps them with starting their business and also getting exposure for their business. She has worked with countless athletes, celebrities. If I name them, you would know each and every one of them. And she has done this for the last umpteen years. And so she has partnered with us in doing this program. And her role, not only is she going to be the keynote speaker, not only is she going to be in the panel and one of the judges, she's also giving of herself, which is my tribe member. My tribe, they're amazing. Like they're here. They're like, what do you need, Lorene? I'm here. I want to support you. And so, but with that being said, she's providing the first prize winner with a mentorship. So they'll get the money plus mentorship for the year. The second prize winner will get an 8-week course with her that's valued at some obscene amount of money to the students. And she's giving the last 2 students one-on-one sessions with her. And I think that's just so amazing. So no student who presents to us on the 6th will walk away empty-handed. Everyone that comes through the door on March 6th presenting will receive something for their hard work and dedication. And so we're going to provide tips and tricks and books and so forth and different gifts for the students that actually plan on participating.
Wow. So now what is the competition? Is it like a pitching contest, or how's it set up?
I'm sorry, yes. So it's a pitch battle. So we'll be pitching for the rights to this year's National Student Entrepreneur Summit winner. So they're going to be pitching away. We're super excited. I started peeking at the applications. As a team, we're coming together. The deadlines close this Friday. And so over the weekend, we're going to be picking our finalists, and we're going to call them on Monday, and we're just going to put the word out on Monday who the top 4 are.
Wow. So how many people, ballpark, apply for this? Was it a wide net that you cast?
It's a wide net. So it's nationwide. We have students from every walk of life, every type of university and college that are joining. Honestly, we even have some high school students that said, I'm ready. We literally had kids that said, hey, I'm ready. You know, I'm ready. So we said, you know what? If you feel you're ready, submit, right? And those kids, I'm definitely going to contact them and give them feedback if that's necessary. And who knows, maybe there's a high school student that's strong enough to push through.
So now, I guess it's a virtual event. Is that right?
Yes, it is a virtual event. Essentially, I'm not sure if I mentioned it to you before. This was actually scheduled to be at Queens College. So we had a 2,000 space arena that was going to be filled to capacity a year ago, but due to COVID, we had to shut the whole thing down. So we're taking that same energy, those same kids. We reached out to everyone that's coming on board for this particular project. And we've also casted a wider net in bringing in on more kids. So that's the beauty about online. Even though, again, I know most of us will be outside and, interact more with our fellow man. But the good thing about this, we can reach more kids this way. And so more kids can be involved, more kids can participate. So that's been an awesome thing.
Are you expecting a big audience for the actual event? I mean, is that a big part of the push, just in terms of getting the exposure for these kids and young people in general about entrepreneurship?
Absolutely. I want the battle cry to be, it's okay to be in school. You can still get your degree. I did it. I'm thinking about my PhD. I haven't told my dad yet. And so you can do all things. You're capable of doing it all. You can start an online business. You can do it if you focus, if you're dedicated, and if you have the right tribe around you. So for sure, I definitely want that to be the call of action, especially again, there are kids that are, that are telling me, hey, I want to create something because I want to help my parents out with their bills. A parent got laid off, and so especially now, like I mentioned before, there's definitely needs to be a call to action for kids to think outside the box, for us all to think outside the box. We all have gifts and talents that are inside of us. We may need more training, additional training to push it and see it to fruition. But for the most part, we all have something to give. And so I'm just trying to get these kids at an earlier age, and not just in college, high school, elementary school, junior high school. There's a young gentleman that he goes by the name of Mr. Corey, and Mr. Corey has a cookie company. And I'm not sure if you may have seen him. He was on The Prophet and different other programs. He's been on OWN, and I'm sorry, and Oprah, and all this other different things, Ellen, this little 9-year-old boy wanted to buy a car for his mother, right? She didn't have a car, she was a single mom. And so he started selling cookies. Now he is a high school student at 16 years old with a team that while he's in school, they're actually manning his business for him. He's one of our guest speakers at the conference, and I'm so excited to have him. This young man just proved against all odds with his mother. And, I talked to him about the tribe. We asked him, like, how important was your tribe? And he's like, my tribe is everything. My mom is everything. That's my foundation. And so we want the kids to know that at any stage in life, you can do it if you just put your mind to it.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking at some of your writing, and you mentioned the tribe method. Is that an acronym? And so what is it? What is the tribe method?
Okay, so the tribe method is something, so while I was in school, and I think I mentioned it to you earlier, I had students that would come around me and say, hey, even though you're in school, you want to do other things. Everyone has these aspirations, especially in this day and time. And they would find different programs, and the programs, they wouldn't work. And they're just like, man, there was no substance to it. And so I did some research on different programs, right? I paid tens of thousands of dollars for how-to programs in my day. And so I am well-versed in good programs and bad programs. But in this particular case, I started doing some research, and I thought to myself, like, man, it's not just me. And people are literally, you can save up your last dollar or dime to pay for a $5,000, $2,000, $10,000 course. Which one are good? Like, what courses are good? So I started testing various programs over an extended period of time. And I realized there was a couple of things that needed to line up in order to actually get a program that's going to help you move and propel you and help scale your business. So one is time. You need to be a part of a program that's going to save you on time. So that's the only thing that you can't get back. I can't get back time. I can get back a lot of different things. I can dye my hair. I can, do some injections, plump my face, do all kinds of cool things, work out to make yourself feel younger. I can't get time back. So time is important. The next thing is resources. Does your program provide you with the resources you need to A, set the foundation, and A, scale? If they don't provide the resources, then you shouldn't go ahead with that. Next thing, it should help you increase your income. So with the resources, with helping you with time, your income should increase, right? And so people just think that that's the only part about it. There needs to be benchmark sets for you. So we're not going to say you're going to make $20 million if you haven't made $20 on your own today, right? But you set reasonable benchmarks for yourself to help you get to the place where you can then find your stepping and move up into scaling your business, essentially. And so that's the TRIB, and the E stands for expert. So with this whole TRIB, that's your expert. And how do you figure out if that makes sense? Research, not only just research what they're saying. Everyone has lots of fluffy marketing. I have a very Craigslist style webpage, and it's been working for me. Everyone's saying change it, make it something different, but it's simple. Simplicity kills the game half the time, right? But these fancy sites and these push on this button, you get to this page and that page, and there's no substance behind it. So get the testimonials. If you're gonna give your $5,000, $10,000, $100, $50, $20, you have a right to say to them, hey, can I see some people that have actually gone through your program and have seen some success, right? Is there a little clip of your program that I can see? Like, if that shouldn't be a problem. Is there a refund policy? If someone says there is no money back, run for the hills, right? And so these are the things that I even tell my students who are trying to find all kinds of how-to things to do. And I literally start off with tribe. You need to have those 4 elements to find your expert. If you cannot find your expert, talk to me. I am not claiming to be all things to all people, but I am saying use wisdom and understanding when it comes to spending your dollars, especially when you're on a shoestring to move and propel your business forward.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, let me ask you, Lorene, as people of color, we know that there are special challenges to us getting started in business and hurdles for us that the majority population maybe doesn't meet. does your program reach out to people of color in particular, or what kind of support do you provide for folks of color to get into your program?
Absolutely. So we've actually partnered with HBCU Foundation and HBCU Connect. So HBCU Connect is pretty much one of the largest platforms for alums of the HBCUs as well as, current students of HBCUs.
That'll be historically Black colleges and universities for
yes, thank
folks
you.
who don't know. Yeah.
Thank you for that. I'm sorry. I just saw.
Well, HBCU. Right, sure.
That's one of our partnerships. We actually contacted every single HBCU and reached out to them, letting them know what we're working on and how we can be a part of whatever they're doing. So it's not just like, hey, blanket, let's just do this. Yes, it's for everyone, but yes, I made a conscious effort to push this agenda towards students that look like me.
Excellent.
Yeah, so that's one aspect. We also partnered with different organizations that have taken it upon themselves, again, part of the tribe, to help spread the word so that we can target and reach our different students. Also, our Greek organizations, right? Most of the organizations are tapped into some sort of student educational program. So reaching out to those components as well to propel this mission forward.
Okay. Very excited. So what would you say, Lorene, is your 5-year plan for this effort? Where would you like to be 5 years from now?
You know what? I know exactly where I want to be. I want to have a massive tribe of students, founders, ready to take on this world, not only just for economic growth, but also to give back in some shape or form. It makes no sense to do any of this if you're not going to pay it forward. So I wanted to just not only create the mindset for it, my goal is to have in 10 years, 10,000 kids pushed forward with their agenda, moving their business, propelling it forward in some shape or form. That's my goal for this project. So I keep at it, keep giving money away, but also keep providing mentorship resources. I want to add to the team so that way we can answer more questions, be more involved. And essentially that's what's going to happen this year after this summit.
Dave, I've been kind of hogging the questions here. Do you have any questions for Lorene as we kind of head to the break in the show?
Well, I've spent a lot of time over the last decades with people who are in the startup scene and the encouragement of SAG and so on. I could drop a lot of names, but that's not interesting.
It may be.
No, because we all know who's big in this stuff, and we know who the VCs are, and we know who's at Y Combinator and things like that. So you know the names. You don't need to get them from me. But I've also learned over the years that 9 out of 10 startups fail, and I've watched a whole lot of people with the kind of enthusiasm you're talking, smart people, hardworking people, not make it, because 9 out of 10 won't. And I'm talking about, Ivy League professor quality brains. How do you discourage most people who shouldn't be doing a startup? Because, as I say, most parts are going to fail, and people going into it will have to know that and have to have some really good reason to think why they're going to succeed when so many other people will fail. What do you tell them? How do you respond to them?
Start off by this. A lot of the kids that we serve have already seen a very hard life. So the start has already been hard for them. The road has already been difficult. They're not afraid of failure. They're not afraid of success because they've gone through it all. So the reason why I'm saying this is I'm not discouraging anyone from doing anything, because anyone is capable of doing absolutely anything. They said, what was it? Edison's tried the light bulb 10,000 times before he actually saw success. My thing is keep going. Unless you're going to go bankrupt, don't stop. If there's an idea that doesn't make sense, it just doesn't make sense. Know when to hold them, know when to fold them, right? So I've been in situations where I've worked on projects that didn't make it. You know, I didn't sink in my last dollar into it. I just knew it was time to wind down and reevaluate and move forward into that direction. We're also dealing with student entrepreneurs that have a backup plan. I'm not discouraging anyone from staying in school, getting their education, and becoming the best version of themselves that they can possibly be. This might be just a learning component for them to go off and catapult into other areas of life and other parts of their careers. But if you want me to say that I'm going to sit there and tell a young person, hey, don't do something specifically, no, I would go over their plan, tell them where their weak points are, where they need to build up upon. If they're not willing to put the work in, they're going to fall away to the wayside anyway, right? So if I can encourage and motivate and push, not only for this entrepreneurial component, but even for their education, for them going after their various careers. Because some kids just want to do something on the side. It doesn't mean that they don't want their career. We have people that have applied that goes to, they're in medical school. They have all intentions of being a doctor, but they have other things that they want to do. So I support the entrepreneurial mind frame. I do encourage people to use wisdom, right? And I do want to give positive and negative feedback if it's necessary.
And what are some of your successes? We've heard a lot of ideas from you, and one of the tests is what works. Tell us about 3 or 4 of the efforts that you've worked with that have succeeded already.
I've started countless online businesses that have made pretty decent money. I've done fairly well. I've sold stuff. Like I mentioned before, I have failed at stuff. And I've created products that I've sold off. So yeah, I mean, I've made money in my space.
I'm not asking about your making money. You're dynamic, you're articulate, you're sharp, you're going to probably do well.
Okay. Oh, you're talking about students.
Other people.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
I know people who do this professionally, and I know how hard it is. So which mentoring projects or which projects that you've actively mentored have done well, and what made the difference between those and the failures?
Okay, so I'm sorry, because maybe I'm getting the question wrong. Are we talking about Business Arsenal University and the success from the students? I just want to make sure I'm getting the question correct.
We're talking about you encouraging other people and helping other people.
Yeah, so Business Arsenal University is something that I started in 2016, and I've been helping students from 2016 to this point. We have students that have actually started and have successfully completed working with us and have businesses to this day. So does that answer your question?
And how many of them have made successful businesses? And what's the difference of the people who've made successful businesses from those who haven't made successful businesses?
I would say some people, they have the mindset to do it. They want to do a business. It sounds cool in theory, but there's work behind it. It's lots of work. It's blood, sweat, and tears. And not everyone's willing to do it, right? It's not for the faint of heart. So we have students that they just don't put the energy in. I can't baby you into doing this. You're a college student or you're a high school student. And if you want to make this work, I'll help you, but I can't do it for you. That's one. Number 2, I think Stu mentioned earlier, it's resources. Some of them just don't have the funds to do maybe this elaborate project that they want to do. And I explain to them, start small. The biggest thing I tell them, get an internship in what you want to do, or get a job in what you want to do. Build that funds for that, create that sort of financial pipeline for yourself so that you can then create that business for you. You can then create the business. Mm-hmm. Still take classes, still learn, still do different things, still understand the intricacies of business, but you might not be ready to do it today.
It sounds to me like a lot of your work is really incubating. So you can't really answer Dave's question per se, because you're incubating entrepreneurs who are incubating businesses, and you won't know for maybe 3, 4, 5 years.
They're kids.
What the impact.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So but there's kids that are actively, I have a young lady, she started a little stylist company, right? And she didn't know where to go, how to do it. She just wanted to just go on social media and create this business. I told her that's not how we're going to do it. You have a sense of style, and that's lovely, but it takes more to starting this particular business that you want to do than that. She's also getting her master's at one of the top schools in New York, but this is a passion of hers, and she wanted to do it and she wanted to pursue it. So we talked to her, she got an internship. She's like, man, that was the best thing I've ever done. I was like, great. She set up her business structure. She started her LLC. She started doing, creating her website and all this other thing. We taught her methods to drive traffic to her site. We taught her how to pitch to various designers, right, and stylists. She thought she had to pay for all of these things by herself. Through her research, she realized I don't have to, as long as I bring it back dry clean, right? So there's different things that she learned along the way. Now she has 2 celebrity clients and she's literally booked every week. This is a young lady that lost her job during COVID, but the side business that we helped her create is sustaining her. Wow. So that's a quick example before we leave. I just wanted to tell you. So I could give you stories, I can throw things out, but I just wanted to say this is like a current thing right now that we just kind of high-fived about because she's out of work, but still able to do things, able to travel, even though we said, listen, it's travel, but you get my point.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Lorene, tell folks how to connect with you and also how to take part in the National Student Entrepreneurship Summit that's coming up next month.
So please visit us at businessarsenalinc.com/events. You can also follow me at lorenec.com. Lorene C at Instagram. You can find me there. There's also Business Arsenal Inc. at Facebook. So those are like the 3 places that you can find me, and I'll pretty much answer you fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm. And that's Lorene, Lorene, correct?
LOREC, and that's IG, and businessarsenalinc.com/events.
Wow. Okay. Well, we've been talking with Lorene Cowan, who's the founder of the Business Arsenal University and the National Student Entrepreneur Summit. Thank you so much for coming on our show today and sharing your experiences and your work, Lorene.
Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you so much, Stu. I really appreciate both of you.
Okay. Thank you, and best of luck to you.
Same to you guys.
And please follow up with us. Let's come back in a month or 2.
I will, for sure. Okay. I would love that.
Great. Thank you.
Have an awesome day.
Okay, thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, you've been listening to Community and Technology with Stu Reid, Dave Burstein on WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. And we are going to switch gears a little bit and talk about some tech things that are going on. I know one of the things that I wanted to just throw past you, Dave, we've talked about this before on the show, and that is social media and censorship. The past president got deplatformed from Twitter. I was one of the folks that applauded that. I know others, and I'm not sure where you came down on that, but others were not so sure that was a good thing, just in terms of free speech. Not that they wanted to hear him and encourage him, but you have the whole free speech notion. And I'm wondering what you're thinking about that, and also, what are your thoughts about this new platform, revived platform, I should say, a Parler, which went down because of the big tech guys, Amazon, Google, and others, who were no longer supporting them after they played such a big role in amplifying the voices of the insurgents on January 6th. They went down for about 6 weeks or so, and now they're back up. This is Parler, which is another social media Twitter-like platform, as I understand it. What's your sense about what kind of reach that platform is going to have, and just the whole notion of right-wing, white supremacist folks and social media? What's your thinking, Dave?
You said you don't know where I stand. And that's partly because I don't know where I stand.
Mm-hmm.
These are really hard questions, and I haven't found answers on it. I have found a whole lot of absurdity in the arguments about it and unreality in the arguments about it. I'm almost more interested in the battle between Twitter and India, not Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
What the government is demanding that Twitter shut down some anti-government, pro-farmer protests in India. On this one, I'm absolutely sure that decision should not be made by people in California who don't know about India.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's pretty typical. Sure, Ovid in the Times actually got into this today, reporting the issues, reporting that she had no idea what the right thing to do is. and reporting mostly from a US point of view, which is where you start on the mistake. In Thailand, it's illegal to criticize the king. In Pakistan, it's illegal to criticize Islam. I'm not quite sure what's illegal to criticize in Israel, where my people come from, but I'm sure they have some absurdities there too. In Germany, it's illegal to say anything friendly or even anything objective about Nazis. And I certainly would love to have a world in which there never was a Mein Kampf. So how do we turn around and bring that back to this debate? Well, I don't have answers, but here's some observations. First of all, okay, Donald Trump's not coming back on Parler, but some of his friends who are nasty racists, let's be very clear about who we're talking about, vicious, nasty racists who are friendly with folks who are willing to be violent in Washington, D.C., possibly including some people who were violent, but certainly people who are in that world, are coming back on Parler. They will have far fewer followers because they've been knocked off Twitter. Is that good or bad? That's a judgment I can't make for you. But is that the practical effect of giving a couple of jerks? Well, let's not call them a couple of jerks. A couple of people who have moral failings, as we all do, who made an awful lot of money and happen to be ones lucky enough to have their companies succeed, make that decision in California. I've just been reading a quite good book about Homo Lucky, something about, I'm here to tell you what the future will be. Homo Lucky almost single-handedly brought back virtual reality. He's the one behind what's now Facebook's virtual reality stuff. Brilliant engineer, self-taught, did it when nobody else was thinking. Wildly naive about the real world and the people in it. Strong supporter of Donald Trump for reasons that make no sense at all. Though he did put one sensible thing in there. He complained about Hillary Clinton supporting ethanol subsidies, which are an absolute and total ripoff, which are there for politics, and you're going to find some things like that. Still, how many of the people who've been really successful on the internet have you come to know? The California bro culture, the social media super successes, the Y Combinator that I mentioned before, which is the most effective startup outfit. What do you know about their personal feelings about other people and their personal egos and their personal common sense and humility?
Well, I don't know a lot of those folks personally, but I know what I've read and some of the stuff that I've heard, and a lot of the tech guys tend to be introverted and not really socially sophisticated and not really engaged in a real meaningful way in the social issues of the day. And that isolation, I think, has kind of put blinders on a lot of these guys. And you talked about that one engineer and how naive he is. And I think that may be true for a lot of the folks. And, unfortunately, self-introspection is not something that is really encouraged a lot in our society. And I think it should be. And I think it would help folks know who they are as they build their own unconscious biases into the platforms and the applications that they put together. Because we all have biases, but do we know what they are? Are we aware of them? Do we control them? can we monitor them as they infuse our work? You know, and then you also have just the whole media sphere, which tends to accentuate the hyperbolic and the sensationalistic. One of the big personalities just passed away today, Rush Limbaugh, who helped make talk radio what it is today. 30 years in the making. And he did that through really bombastic, racist, white supremacist rhetoric that found an audience, that had an audience out there. And I think a big part of his appeal was the bombacity of it, was just kind of the outrageousness of it all. If folks did that on the left, I think they'd be skewered. I don't think they could find.
I assure you there are folks on the left who look for the same stuff of being extreme in order to inspire people.
Are they successful though, commercially?
Slightly.
Yeah. Well, Limbaugh was wildly successful commercially.
Yeah.
When you agree that the right-wing media has been embraced by commercial media, if you will, and been supported economically in a big way for decades now. I don't think you can say that for the left.
Depends on whether you think the people at the New York Times are on the left or not.
Okay.
And that's not a question for me to go into here. So let me keep you back on the subject.
Okay.
Of our tech culture.
Mm-hmm.
Of the people who are prominent in our tech culture, the people making the decisions at Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Amazon, the Internet Society, any other place we want to do. How many of them understand the issues in our society of racism and sexism? And how many of them understand the issues of of xenophobia and how America treats the rest of the world? How many of them do you think really get or even really care about these issues?
I would say few to none, Dave, to be quite frank with you. First of all, there are very few to no people of color in that upper echelon that you just talked about, the leaders and the movers and shakers in tech. And even the ones that may be of color, most of them are not from the United States, which means they don't have the whole experience of 400 years of chattel slavery here in the United States and exactly what the boot of white supremacy that has been on the neck of Black Americans. Some folks in other parts of the world don't quite understand that, even though that boot has done a lot of walking across the globe. But still, if you didn't grow up here, you don't really feel it like we do as Americans, and particularly as Black Americans.
Oh, and when I look at a Facebook or Twitter or Google, with the exception of some Asian executives, I don't see anybody.
Yeah.
I've got a picture of Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook with his top dozen executives. He calls them the M team or something like that. Mm-hmm. And they got together at an event, and somebody took a picture and put it up on social media or wherever. How many of them do you think are Black or Latino Americans?
I'd say zero.
There were, in this particular picture, no women, although there may be 5 or 10% women at the top of Facebook. Mm-hmm. And there was nobody from outside the United States, as far as I know, except for one Israeli who went to MIT. Mm-hmm. So the Reuters today and the New York Times are picking up stories about how Amazon is ignoring all the laws in India that were designed to protect smaller merchants from giant companies coming in with e-commerce. Mm-hmm. And example after example we have Google threatening to walk out of YouTube, walk out of Australia because they don't like the tax proposal. I've watched in the EU, European Union, we're talking a very strong political outfit with the economic power comparable to the United States. Google and Facebook coming in and spending millions in a way that horrifies anyone who knows the European system, where you just didn't so overtly try to buy the political process. And it's working pretty well on a lot of things. So my thing that's really strong is seeing things from the point of view of the people who don't have power. On the internet, that virtually means almost everybody except for a few American companies. That horrifies me. And I think, well, and I see it in places that I have a fair amount of knowledge. I am on a State Department committee. I have gone to many of the international things. You and I are both active in the Internet Society, and they just came up with their nominees for the board of directors. And no matter what happens, the way they're structured, 2 out of 3 are going to be from the United States. And 9 out of 12 or something like that already are from the United States. And they say they speak for the global internet. No. And those are the things that are hitting me on the questions about how do you think of censorship in India, Turkey. I don't know what that one coming up is. That might have been the Amazon that's always watching me for my little Amazon devices.
Yeah.
Or
as Lena's mom calls it, the wiretap device.
Did you see the latest on Ring in Amazon?
No, what's going on?
Oh, they are working with the police in Los Angeles to monitor Black Lives Matter activists.
The beat goes on, huh? You know, just listening to you talk about how the tech giants are operating in Europe and India and other places overseas. I'm just reminded of the whole ugly American concept, Dave, back in the 60s and the 50s, really, where
go home.
Yeah, you know, the whole neo-colonialist thing where we want to impart our values and all of our systems and make folks, or just presume that people operate like us. And when I say us, I'm not really talking about me, us. I'm talking about the powerful us that run things in this country. How they just presume that everybody on the planet, will operate under their rules and their conditions, and no sensitivity to the cultural specifics of a given nation, of a given culture. And I don't think they really even care. It's money just kind of buys their way in. That's their presumption that if they write a big enough check and make a big enough donation, that they're going to get their way. And unfortunately, they often do.
Well, I read a history of El Salvador recently.
Mm-hmm.
Not a banana republic, a coffee republic.
Mm.
And the US troops and the US thugs and the CIA and what we've done, and the 80,000 people who were killed by their own military government that was strongly supported by the United States. And you wonder, who are we to say? When you look at it today, there are probably 300 million doses already out there. Do I mean 300 million? No. I mean about 100 million doses of COVID vaccines.
In the US?
No, in the world.
Oh, in the world, globally.
US, we got 12% of the population, so that's 25 million or so.
Mm-hmm.
I got my first shot, Jenny got her first shot, we're old, we qualify. It's starting to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. It's starting to happen in most of Europe. How many of those 100 million doses have gone to Africa or to South Asia or to Latin America? If it's 5 million, I would be surprised.
South America also has been hit really hard as well. Brazil, tremendous problem.
They're not, it's not happening. And I can tell you how that affects, it comes from the pharmaceutical companies at the World Trade Association, making it hard for India to make their own vaccine and things like that. And another one, at the Internet Society, we were both active. One of the candidates happens to be from Pakistan. Somebody with strong opinions. The most vaccinated country in the world is Israel. It's a small country with a lot of money, and it cut deals early with the drug companies to do a lot of testing with them. Not necessarily anything illegitimate in how that happened. But what percentage of the Arabs under Israeli control? Remember, they have millions of Palestinians under control.
That's right.
Gotten the vaccine. Well, he asked that question, and I'm very glad he asked that question. And I think we both can guess the answer. They just got the first dose of vaccine for anyone in Gaza.
Wow.
When the majority of the Jews in Israel have already been vaccinated. Okay, that's the world we're in the world we would like to change, but we're running out of time, I think.
Yes, we are about the end of the time here, Dave. We could go on and on with this.
Let me just say before we lose the air, though, I welcome the encouragement and enthusiasm in our guests in the first half hour. I also have been in this stuff a lot longer. Startups can work. You can do fabulously well. But anybody who doesn't tell you from the beginning that it's hard, you have to really have a want, you have to really have an idea, and you have to really have luck. Not doing right by people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not straight like people when they get involved.
I couldn't agree with you more. I just want to add a footnote that, I'm still just so happy to see that folks are starting to open their minds to realize that there are other avenues to livelihood other than a job and working with someone else. Yeah, there are pitfalls and struggles, and it's twice as hard to work for yourself than to work for somebody else.
And it's even harder, as we both know, if you don't have some advantages.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And both of us happen to go to a fancy university and meet some people who can help us. But obviously, I had some advantages you don't, just because of the color of my skin.
True.
And that's a world that you got to deal with the reality and solve it as best you can.
Absolutely. But, again, those disadvantages, Dave, have made us tougher and have made us more emboldened to press forward against all odds. And that's why, I really encourage the work of Lorene Cowan, who was on earlier, in stimulating young folks in grade school and middle school, high school, and college to become entrepreneurs, as hard and as daunting as it is. I think it's quite admirable. Yeah.
I have a friend who's been very successful at this. His name's Ralph de la Vega. Among other things, he's written a book that talks about how he's succeeded. And he's been national president, I think, of Junior Achievement, bringing in kids. He also brought the iPhone to America as the #2 guy at AT&T with that.
Wow.
And he got through college by working as a janitor. Okay, so he's somebody who knows what it takes and is out there encouraging. I'm going to see if I can get him on our air.
Yeah, let's try to find him.
He's somebody. I met him when he was doing all the DSL for Bell South. He went from there, as I say, to being the #2 at AT&T. He retired.
Wow. Okay.
He did that despite still having a heavy Cuban accent 50 years later. So it is possible.
Yeah, it's possible.
And you look at people like that and how they achieved and what they could do, and maybe there's something to learn from.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for those insights, Dave. Great conversation today with Lorene Cowan earlier, and then with Dave kicking around the state of affairs in the world and technology. You've been listening to Community and Technology on 90.3 FM WHCR Radio, the voice of Harlem. Stay tuned next week for more interesting conversation. Thanks for tuning in. Good night, Dave.
So long.